Hello and welcome to our second episode of our Champion Rework Show. This week, we're going to be talking about Ashe, Aurelion Sol, Azir, Bard, Blitzcrank, Brand, and Braum. With me this week are Nick the King Cooper.
Hey.
And Colton Blue Basket Sweat.
Hello.
So, before we get to business, boys, we got to figure out a name. And turns out everyone who submitted a name is dog shit unfunny. They were really bad.
Great. They weren't the best, you know?
But we appreciate the effort.
I think the best possible one was from Foxloaf, and it was LeagueCast what was it? LeagueCast Presents Kit Bashing. That was my favorite one out of all of them. That being said, we got a different name, which we're going to call our just general League Patreon content, which is going to be ZED Talks. Haha, TED Talks. Haha, very funny. And then we're just going to be calling this either Champion Workshop or Fixing Champions. So it's going to be ZED Talks, Fixing Champions, A Part 2, and B, because we're finishing up the A characters from last month, and then we're doing the B characters.
So there's only 4 B-boys.
Yeah, there's only a couple B-boys. Anyways, shall we jump into the show?
Yeah.
How do we fix Ashe, man?
I was thinking about this earlier in the day. I feel like 80 carries are the hardest to fix, because if they weren't released in the last 3 years, they probably have zero mobility and they're very boring.
Yeah, I don't think adding mobility onto Ashe is the right thing to do, though.
No. You want to add more slows and shit, right?
So the only thing that I think every other ability is fine. I think her E could, if she marks someone with her E, allies deal increased damage to that champion, maybe?
I think that they probably should make her E not global and then put it on a lower cooldown because of it. Like, if she could check a bush a little bit closer. Like, if I was in the middle of bot lane, I could check, the tri-brushes, and that's about it. I think that'd be way more balanced for the game and would be a lot more useful of, hey, you can use Ashe to repeatedly check the dragon, between your scrying orbs. And then I would love to see, instead of her stupid interaction with crit as it currently is, make her passive that her autos apply a stacking slow, and same with her W, where it's just it starts at maybe 15%, and then for every stack it gets 5% more to a cap, so that she's actually the Frost Archer. And then I would maybe make her ultimate interact with it as well, where it's the stun from her ult is longer based on distance.
Ooh.
Or against somebody who has 3 frost stacks already.
Yeah, I like that idea.
What do you think it's too toxic to give her something where she has a stacking slow that turns into a stun on autos?
I don't think
that would be bad if it was 5 frost stacks became a half second or 1 second stun.
Yeah, I feel that'd be cool. Micro stuns.
I think it could be only it has to be only her who can proc it, though, right?
Oh, for sure.
Only her and internal.
Then you just have Ashe Ornn, and it's just disgusting.
It would just be a replacement for her, like Colton said, her weird crit thing is so it feels like they just wanted to throw something into her kit to replace her old crit passive. So they gave her that weird crit attack speed thing. But I feel if instead of having it be a weird on hit crit thingy, just have it stun after a while, have micro stuns. I love the idea of micro stuns. There's way too many in Dota, I think, for my liking, but I think it's a cool mechanic in a game.
Yeah, if it was half second or less.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just make it so the Q applies, stacks of a passive, the W applies a stack as well, and it's just at an increasing slow, and then probably I'm thinking 5 or 6 stacks would be appropriate for there to be a stun, since she's going to have so much attack speed. And then same thing, internal cooldown per unique character, just like Braum, just like Sejuani.
Alternatively, what do we think about the slow stacking up to
99?
Not a 99, but maybe to a brittle proc?
Ooh.
She doesn't have... she still has the stun with her ulti, right? But she can proc her...
Maximally slowed enemies are brittle?
Yes, are brittle.
I'd be down for that. I actually really like that, and I think there should be more brittle in the game.
I think so, too. I really like brittle as a mechanic. I think it would have to fall off after a certain time, but it could last a while, you know? Maybe for the duration of the slow.
Well, yeah, I would think that it would be like stacks. Like you apply a stack, it stays on for maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and then if you refresh it, it continues. But then it falls off one at a time, maybe. Actually,
Yeah, that'd be fine,
well,
I think.
I think the slow would have to be over, but the stack itself could stay there.
I think the only I think it can interact with her Q or Runons then in that case.
Yeah, there'd be
Because then you could just brittle entire teams.
Yeah, there would have to be some fine tuning there, but that's I think in depth conversation of like how to really make sure that mechanic is balanced.
Yeah.
That being said, I think her being able to apply like multiple stacks of that slow up to a brittle, real cool. And I think that otherwise she's fine as an AD carry. Like volley is kind of boring, I guess, but
It's boring, but it's good.
yeah, the only thing I might say is if it like kills something, maybe it continues, but
I think it does work that way currently.
Oh, you're right. I don't fucking
But
know.
Nick, why don't we just put her hawk shot on her alt and then put her alt on her E?
Well, that's just dumb.
No, we can't do that. Not with every champion.
Cool. Is Ashe
Really?
fixed?
I think so.
I think that would
Aurelion
be...
Sol.
Ugh. I am sort of dreading this one. Because I'm not sure if there's a way to fix this character right off the bat.
So what's his problems? Let's start with that at least. I don't think he's boring.
I don't necessarily think he has a problem. Is that too much to say?
I think his biggest problem is that he is a very niche champion, and that because of that, most players don't want to interface with that playstyle. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't think that's a problem with the game, right? Like, that's why he's not popular, but I think overall he's pretty good. I think his ultimate is kind of weird, and I think there are things you can do, but I think overall his kit is pretty fine.
Is there? So I think the only ability you can really replace or change at this point is his E, right? Is there anything we can do with his E to make it something?
Which one's his E is his dash, right?
Well, you gain move speed when you're going in a direction, and then you can cast it to move at that move speed, and you fly over walls and stuff, but enemies can see you over walls. It's meant to like help his roaming playstyle, I guess, but I feel like he could just not have that.
Would it be putting too many eggs in one basket to have another thing that amplifies his stars in a way? Like have his one, like his current W right now, like shoots out and they move really, really fast, right? What if you had like his other one was like it contracts them and makes them like almost like surround him kind of like Diana shields or something like that? Like do something with them that are like a different mechanic but based around his stars still.
There's a character like that in Dota, Io. They can move your stars in and out.
but you know what I mean? Like I feel like his stars are they're the core of his kit, right? Other than I guess his flying is kind of actually. What would you say the most important part of his kit? Obviously stars, and then probably the growing Q would be number 2. But I feel like that's not even as important.
Yes, I think the stars in the growing Q. Yeah.
I think if you made the E interface with the stars in a different way, that'd be pretty cool. As opposed to
off the back of that, what if it was sort of like an empower for your next like ability? Like maybe your stars spun even faster if you. Well, I guess it's a cooldown now on your W, but maybe your stars like slowed, right?
Yeah.
With your E, I don't know, something like that.
My only thing is I would want them to do something like that doesn't go directly alongside what your W does, because I don't want it to be something that you use both of them every single time together, right? I feel like that's kind of boring when you have abilities that you go, oh, I always activate these two things together. I'd rather have them be like one's defensive, one's offensive or something like that, or like one applies CC but it can't be activated while like your other one's activated. I would just love like his star mechanics. I feel like that's the coolest part. It's definitely the hardest part to pick up about the character, right? You have to auto attack but also micro your stars that are going around you in a direction. It's like such a cool mechanic.
I feel like making it like Diana W, where it just like circles even closer around you and maybe like prevents some damage or something.
Maybe it can't be interrupted during that state as well, so your stars don't go away.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I just wish that was a cooler mechanic.
Yeah, it's just a shame because I think the E is the only thing you can change. I don't think you can change anything else about the character.
Maybe his ultimate.
Maybe change the ult. Yeah.
I feel like you have to think of something very grand to like replace it with or change it with, right? Which I don't know if that's what the point of this show fully is to come up with like new fucking crazy abilities, but
yeah. Oh, what if you every time you hit a star, you spawn another one?
If you kill somebody with your ultimate, you gain 1 star.
Ooh.
End game fucking Aurelion 30 stars.
That's nuts.
Just constantly proccing, that'd be disgusting. But I think really when it comes down to it, he's in a pretty okay spot. He's just not a character that's ever going to be the most popular in the game.
He's very niche, yeah. But
is there a way to add a star to his W for every point that's in it? Maybe you start out with...
I think you could do it for every...
I was thinking you start out with
5.
1.
Well, okay, that too, yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Maybe, maybe you get an extra star. Maybe you get an extra star every time you level your ulti then. Because 5, like, if you get, 8? That's too many.
Yeah.
6 is kind of like perfect, which would put it at the 3 to start, 4 at level 6, 5 at 11, 6 at 16.
Yeah.
I could see that.
That'd be cool. They'd have to do less damage, I guess, is the only problem. But I do like the idea of like him having like more stars. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Fixed.
Actually, I feel like we didn't do very much with him. But
Stan.
He's a
Azir.
hard champion.
Azir. How many soldiers are we adding to his ultimate?
I think we need to add 4 soldier with to the ult, and then we're good. And we can just move on to Bard.
I don't... is there anything not iconic enough to... that like? I don't think you could take anything away from his abilities.
Okay, so let's look at his abilities, right? His Q is the one that moves them, right? His W is the one that raises them.
Summons
and his E is the one that like brings you to them.
Yes.
Is there a way that you can put 2 of those abilities together?
I think the only way you do it is Q
and W.
1? I guess, yeah, Q and W.
What do you think about like your Q summons a soldier and puts it to a place?
So I'm thinking like in my mind, the way you'd have to do it would be pretty similar to Oriana, where he just then like always has a soldier. Mm-hmm. In my mind, I would love it if the Q did a lot less burst damage and the autos from the soldiers did more. So that it was about actually getting autos as opposed to like right now.
I would too, actually.
It's like you Q through them and then you auto and then electrocute pops and it's like, that's like summoning minions to stab people does not sound like a burst character. I would much rather have them, be about, you have to get auto attacks with the soldiers. You can't just use your Q for damage. So I would love to see the Q do way less damage and be just for positioning of soldiers.
Does Q have a slow on it?
I don't believe so.
We could give it a scaling slow.
Oh, it does. 25%.
Oh, it does? Does it scale with number of soldiers hit?
Yes,
I feel like you hit someone with like...
additional for each
soldier. We're geniuses.
You're right? We're
actually
smart.
so smart. Dang.
I have one thing what do you guys think about this? His passive. The turret.
He should just have another turret, like on top of that, to be honest.
What do you mean?
Like, he should have a passive.
Okay. Oh,
and also the turret on his passive.
I thought you meant he should just have 2 turrets that he can bring in. Like, what the fuck, Nick?
Okay. However, now we're cooking with gas. He summons 2 turrets instead of just 1. Okay.
So my logic, what I was thinking is, this might be too campy and too Heimerdinger-esque, but what if when he summons a turret, it's like a Shremian like area, and you like get like bonus, like you can like summon more soldiers. You can like do shit like that. You know what I mean?
I mean, your W has a reduced cooldown and costs no mana, like in your passive area, right?
Yeah,
Something like that.
But I mean, like, what if you could raise more people? Is what I mean. But it's like an objective, like you have this thing while your turret's up, right? And if they take it down, you're like kind of weak, but like you raise these fucking shrines across the map that like buff your kit.
I do think that gets too campy, though.
I think it gets too campy because he's a very, like, the fun part of Azir is watching him fucking Shurima shuffle his way into a team and fuck them up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Huh. It's tough. It's tough. This is a character that I don't think... His identity lies too much, like, within all of his abilities. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult to change any of them.
Well, they're also tied, right? Like, you can't have... Like, 3 of his abilities are literally create a soldier and move the soldier and do stuff with the soldier, which is problematic to rework, unless you're reworking that mechanic.
And I think, again, he's not in a bad enough space. I think really reallocating his damage numbers to make it more about the soldiers would be fine. I think, if anything, the passive would be a good place to start, because temporarily revive turret, I think, is kind of dumb in general.
Yeah.
But I don't really know how you could really change that. Like, I feel like the only thing is you'd have to just, like, shift something he already has onto the passive or come up with something entirely new. I suppose you could give him something like a buff to teammates because he's, like, the Emperor. So it could be like if Azir like hard CCs an enemy within X units of your allies, maybe they get an attack speed buff or something. I don't know. That's like just I think that could fit his theme where it's like he's inspiring the allies, but again, I think his kit's pretty fine. I would love to see the damage numbers shifted to their auto attacks and not about bursting with Q.
I agree. I mean that's sort of how I feel about it as well.
Like, same thing even with ult. Like, I'm fine that they both do damage, but it shouldn't be about the damage. It should always be about positioning the soldiers.
Yeah, he's just hard to rework. Like, you have to fundamentally change his character. I feel like he's actually not a bad character where he is, though.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's kind of dumb that he's...
Honestly, like, right now I think he just needs numbers, right?
Well, I mean, he's like one of those characters that he's either like grossly in meta or grossly out of meta, right?
Yeah, and I think it's just a numbers thing. It's not about his kit.
No, his kit's pretty cool for the most part.
Yeah.
We're into our Bs.
So I think...
sorry.
I was just going to say, I think the only problematic part of his kit is it's very difficult to have any counterplay. Like, it's difficult in lane because he spawns a soldier and shoots it at you, and then that's it. It sort of feels like Lux E to me. Like, it's very hard to miss, and it's free damage. But I don't know if there's any way to fix that.
And he's kind of... So he has, like, that kind of, like, weird early game, and then his late game, he just becomes an AD carry, where it's, like, a number, like a stat check character, almost.
Yes. If he doesn't kill you in, like, 2 hits, you kill him.
All right, wait, I have an awesome idea, you guys. Mm-hmm. All right, so you know our favorite show of all time, Naruto. And our boy Gaara, the sand guy.
Yeah.
He's got a sand shell around him that protects him. So we change his passive where anytime you like auto attack Azir, it does reduced damage, but like the amount of damage it reduces by like takes away mana because it's burning up all of his chakra.
Ooh, I kind of like that actually.
That'd actually sick. His resource is sand instead of mana.
Even that, yeah. Like, and then it's just like taking damage will reduce his sand so that he can't. You know, if you miss position, you won't be able to cast as many abilities or really use them. I think that could be real cool.
How often does hold on, look at how often his passive's up, his like turret thingy, because you could also make that be worth sand as well. Like you could make everything in his kit worth sand, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at this point, we're just replacing the word mana with sand, right?
Not really though, because it could be like a more finite resource, right?
I think the point is that you couldn't build items to have more sand, kind of like energy. Whereas if it was a mana-based thing, you could just stack a bunch of mana and take Presence of Mind.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think giving him a unique resource could actually be really cool like that. Either that or... I would really hesitate to give him like 2 resource bars between like mana and sand.
Mm-hmm.
But... Yeah, I could see like everything costing sand and having that be similar to like energy, and maybe like when soldiers die, like they leave some on the ground that you can go pick up.
Ooh.
Like when your soldier falls, like maybe a soldier costs 50 sand, and then when it times out, you can go over and pick up like 25. Because again, I think like the idea of him being a control mage, just all about positioning, is really like, because I love Orianna, and that just makes him like even more so just all about where you are, where you move things.
I like that idea a lot. That's really cool, actually.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Gara Azir, done.
Hell yeah. What
Going
about
from
Bard?
bird to bard.
Bird to Bard.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Bard.
Really?
More
I feel like
Chingles.
his passive's so fucking like important to his like overall like character, but I fucking hate it, man. I think
Yeah.
it's so poorly designed for the game.
Hmm.
I think having it like he's supposed to be a roaming support. That's the idea, right? Is that you're a support and you're kind of forced to roam. But
Yeah.
he has shit like super low base movement speed because he should be getting your chimes, right? So therefore you have to like have lower base speed. I feel like that makes him like awful to play. I feel like his damage is so reliant on having like meep stored up. It just like feels like they hampered like or like toned down a bunch of his kit because of his passive.
It's like old Lissandra passive, right?
Yes.
Where it's just like, well, you don't do damage and you don't have move speed because you get damage and move speed from your passive.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the case, at least in lane, right? Because he does a lot of damage in lane.
Yeah, I think maybe if they just made it where like every X seconds out of combat you gain like another stack or something.
I don't like out of combat. I'm not sure why I don't like that.
I just think that'd be like a good way to then be like, hey, if you don't want the bard to get strong, like harass him, or if he's constantly out of lane, like he's going to be getting stronger, but he's also out of lane.
In a scenario like I just don't want to see Bard become like a Janna type character, right? Where you just sit behind.
Yeah,
all right, here's a heal. Here's a heal every 10 seconds. Good luck. I don't know. I like the playstyle that he has, where you're this almost, I don't know, mage aggressive support.
I think his W is not great.
Yeah, his W and his passive are the only abilities I have problems with. His Q, his magical journey, and his ultimate are all like so important, I think. And I feel like they're like they hit the mark.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with his W.
I think the Q you could maybe clean up just in the sake of there are so many times you're like, oh, that stunned me. But so yeah, what would we do with the W or the passive?
It sounds like so we either go down one path, or I think like a little quality of life. I think you should be able to like when you make a shrine, it has a like chime in it. I feel like that's like just a quality of life thing that would like make him feel a lot better.
But if your ally takes it, they kill the chime too.
Yeah, they just eat the chime. You see them just like digest your friend.
Well, then I think it just turns into turn to make a guy, right? Every time this is off cooldown, you just spam it under your feet.
Yeah, but then you're not using it under your 80 carry, right? Like I feel like that's like.
I mean, I guess, but you're not using it. You're not using it anyway, right?
This dog shit heal that does nothing.
I think,
and at least at the current rank, you can have 3 out and spawn a 4th at a champion's feet. So there's still no decision making there. You still just put it the same way, but you get chimes faster.
Yeah, I think maybe if it was like you send your meeps to the ally, that could be interesting. Like if it was just like a shield or a heal. I mean, we're basically describing. I'm describing Lului right now, but I think being able to like give them the meeps would be interesting.
So, what if you just put down a meep, right? And it just, I don't know, got vision for you over a little bit and suicided itself when someone came near, sort of like Maokai-y?
I think we do all those things. We make it literally just Lulu, so you can use it on enemies or allies. So using it on an enemy, it like gives vision, maybe runs at people, owns them, beats them up. If you give it to an ally, gives them love juice. It just sits on them and just like feeds them love juice until they die.
All right, now we're talking.
I just think that's sick though. Like they ride on their shoulder and just drain into them slowly. It's like a heal over time. There's like no heal over times in the game, by the way. So
they're not. I mean, there's the Soraka Q, and it's pretty cancer.
And it's like a self heal over time. Yeah.
All right,
I feel
so
like
you
that'd
guys
be
know
sick,
Tsunade from Naruto.
Oh boy.
Stop.
So, I mean, we are just turning these characters into Naruto characters.
You figured out my plan for this show.
Oh, I see.
No, but I feel like I do think having like more decision making with shrines would be cool. Like you can have the heal part where you like use it on your ally. I know this literally is Lulu, or you have a more aggressive way of like sending them at the enemies. Like it kind of is like a Lulu Maokai hybrid, but I feel like it's at least way more interesting than just laying down shrines that you have to wait 10 seconds to heal from.
Yeah. I also, okay, here's an idea for his passive change. What if as you collect the chimes, every time you hit that threshold, like whether it be 5 or 10, you choose to increase like their damage, their slow, or the number that you can hold.
I think that's way more interesting.
It is more interesting, but it'd have to be like an Aphelios type thing where there is a hard limit before you have to pick another one. Because if I'm playing Bard, I'm picking damage every time, and I will nuke someone from orbit.
Yeah, but I think that would be actually...
I've got 200 chimes, and they all are damage.
I think that could be fun.
No, I think so too.
Where, yeah, it's just like you add damage, you add slow, or maybe size. Where, like, instead of a tiny cone, it's like a bigger and bigger cone. Like, I think that could be interesting, where you're, like, adjusting how your chimes work, or how your meeps go.
It sounds like the gist of it is that the character is too one-dimensional. Like, at least, sorry, his shrine and his passive are too one-dimensional. I feel like his Q is pretty interesting, other than the fact that it is the hardest stun in the game to wrap your head around how it works, like how you got hit by stuff. Other than that, like I feel like his kit's actually super cool.
I think you could make the ultimate a faster projectile, honestly.
Yeah, but that's more just like neat, like little like
yeah, that's
changes.
A little thing. But anyway, I think that's probably good for Bard.
Yeah, Bard's sick as fuck, dude. Cool. Blitzcrank.
All right.
So
you can't get rid of his hook.
You can't. No.
Can't get rid of his knockup.
I think you could.
The hook is the only thing you can't get rid of.
Yeah, the rest of this kit's pretty fucking boring, man.
No, absolutely not. There's no way you can get rid of like one of the most iconic combos in the game.
I think you probably don't want to, but I also think it'd be hilarious if like they changed his model so he had like his hook arm and his knockup arm, and you just made that combo like one ability.
So you shoot out the Q, and then Q1 is the hook, and Q2 is the knockup.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with that. But like, you have to keep the knockup, I think.
Yeah, or it's just like your first auto attack after the hook is a knockup.
Oh, hear me out. What if Q1 is the hook? You grab them, and as you're like pulling them in, Q2 is an ability that allows you to pick them up and slam them into the ground.
Like a knockdown.
And it does like AoE damage, like settled.
You've just replaced the word up with down.
It's knocked out. No, but I was thinking more like it's like a hammer kind of was what I was getting at.
Sure.
But no, I feel like that's overloaded. But because his Q is already the most overloaded ability, like one of the most overloaded abilities in the game.
Yep. I have so much issue with the fact that you can play like utter dog shit for 59 minutes and 59 seconds, and you hit one hook and you win the game.
Yeah. That happened in LCS like 2 weeks ago.
And that's just the character.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
So what are we gonna do with the rest of his kit? So here's the thing about his W. I would rather him so he has to have a slow. He can't not have a slow on it. Like as much as like that's a quality of life change to remove the slow. The problem with that, with his current kit, assuming we don't change his E, you walk up and you hit knock up every single time. You hit knock up first, right? Or you hit hook as soon as they like burn their summoner. That being said, if we remove the knock up on the E, like he only has one CC ability being his Q, I think you could make his W just to speed up and not have a slow on it.
I was thinking we shift his like the idea of a mana shield to his W. Like you gain some tanky stats and get like a mana shield. Because I think that's one of my biggest issues with Blitzcrank is that he should be a tank support, but nothing in his kit makes that happen.
Well, but when you go below 30% HP, though, you got a shield, not tanky.
No. And I think that then you could also add the idea of him just like arcing off electricity, and you could move that to his passive.
Yeah.
Ooh, alternatively, you can move his W, the move speed, to his passive after he casts an ability gains move speed, and it can stack. But after that runs out, you're very slow. Thank you for coming to my ZED talk.
Okay, so what are we gonna do with WE Ultimate? I think there's a lot of interesting things you can potentially do. I think that, like, I really like the idea of the QE maybe being together, and it's just like the first auto attack after the Q. W is probably, in my mind, just like makes you tankier, and you activate it probably for just a flat shield. I think I'd move the arcing electricity from his ultimate onto his passive, since I'd be taking away mana shield, like his final lifeline mana shield. So at least in my iteration of Blitzcrank, we've got his E and his ultimate left. What if he could grab an ally with his E?
No, thank you.
Time catch, baby.
I do like the idea of like keeping the arcing. So like they want to keep arcing in his kit based on the fact that it used to just randomly arc like at random intervals when your ult was up, right? But now they made it so that it just like when you auto something, it just takes more damage with an arc like after a second, which I think is really boring. I wish they would do something like with like instead of him. So I guess the problem is that when you ult, you're like using all your static. But I would like it if you like used your ult and then you like had like a static field around you, like that was just like kind of like a mini cannon ult in a way, like way less damage and didn't stun, but it's like kind of damage with like random bolts and stuff. I feel like that would be a fun way of making him. So like you hook someone, you like chase them down after with your ult like going and like lightning people.
I like that. That's pretty cool.
I also like the idea of maybe of like every time he maybe casts an ability, he gains like a stack of static.
Okay.
And then the ultimate expends that static in a way that makes it more powerful depending on how long you've gone. Or maybe it could also be like every hard CC you hit is a stack of static, so that it's a little bit more gated on actually playing him well. W, I think, still tankiness. And E you could even just make as like, you know, apply like a debuff to an enemy or something. I think adding to the static charges of like, I think that would be a fun way to go with the character, right? Like make him the electricity guy other than Kennen. I'm not sure how exactly I'd want to see that happen, but something like, you know, maybe when he is hitting people with his lightning, if it hits him multiple times, it starts doing more damage or something. But I would like to see the E interact with that, you know, the electricity arcing off and something there.
There's so many things
like a
you
little
can do
field. What if you made like a little area of like increased static?
Ooh, like a little like ring.
Yeah,
Like a cage, like a fuck, I don't know what the name of Thresh's ult is. Shit.
The box.
The box, like a little box.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to interface with static. I think that would be a fun way to go with Blitzcrank, is that make the fact that he's like an electronic golem way more part of his kit.
I actually do like the idea of like a box type thing. This is gonna sound stupid, but like, what if you had like a box thing, like it drops down like 4 like nodes. I'm not sure what I'm looking for, like pistons, not pistons. What are like the things that like conduct electricity?
A lightning
pylons.
Pylons. So like you drop down like 4 pylons and it creates like electric like gate almost. And if someone goes through that, they're like silenced.
They die.
They take damage and are silenced though. Like I feel like that's really cool, and you can like drop it while you're like Q's casting or something like that. I feel like that would be super cool. It's a way more interactive version of his current ultimate.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
just pulling people through like an electric fucking pylon would be so cool.
I feel like if you just made it like J-Skate, basically, where it was just 2, and you could place it, and if an enemy goes through it, they're silenced, and if you pull them through it, maybe the silence is like better.
Do we have any abilities like that in the game where like you can place down, so like kind of like Aurelion, the fact that you can place down 2 things, but it stays and it spends like mana or something? Because that'd be cool.
Oh, like the gate stays as long as you leave it there? But
yeah, you're like burning mana and you're in range. Like, wouldn't that be cool?
I don't think so.
Like the closest thing would be an Ivia ult.
Yeah. Like you siege a tower, you put down 2 like pylons, right? And they create this electric field that if people walk through, they take damage and are silenced. And you're just burning mana, but if you hook someone through it, you're probably gonna fucking just kill them.
I guess then we're doubling down into like hook someone and kill them.
Yeah, that's the point of this kit, though.
That's Blitzcrank.
I mean,
we know that it's not fun that he can hook somebody and end the game, but that's his character.
Yeah, he's a one-dimensional character.
I mean, we just got into Bard for being one-dimensional, and I think he has far more facets than Blitzcrank.
Pylon E, perfect champ.
Pylon E.
Okay.
Pylon E ultimate does something with charging static as he casts shit, and maybe it just is damage, or I would still rather have him be tanky.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want him to be a tank, not a character that you burst people with.
And as mentioned at the beginning, if you do remove his knockup from his E, I think you can remove the slow from his overdrive, honestly. I feel like that's the only thing that gates it, is you can't have him like just run up and knock up people, or else that ruins the point of you being a hook character.
Exactly, yeah. But if you have to go through your whole Q animation first before you get your second Q, that's fine.
Yeah, and then you slam him into the ground like a hammer.
Yeah.
The knockdown.
Brand,
yeah.
Functionally does the same thing.
So Brand sets up 2 pillars of like, they're like volcano pillars though. They like spill lava into a line. And they burn mana.
Fire.
They burn mana as you have them up.
All right, so we switch his ultimate and his W.
Yeah.
No, okay. So what do we think of Brand in his current state? Do you think he's in a good spot as he is with his kit?
I love Brand.
I think he's pretty fine.
His E is boring, but I don't think having a point-and-click ability is bad on a character where your main combo involves you having to hit 3 out of your 4 abilities.
So the only change I want to make is probably how his E interacts with Blaze. I think it should automatically apply Blaze in the AoE period. It should only deal damage to the target you're casting it on, but it should apply Blaze to everything in the target area.
Yeah, I think it should spread. I agree that you cast the E and it just spreads fire to everything nearby.
Yeah.
Now, if that was the case, would casting it on something that was already ablaze just make it deal damage to everything else, or would it do something differently?
Yeah, I think... So, I mean, currently, I think he'd be far too strong if it did damage to everything, I guess. I think if it did anything else, it would be OP. But I think dealing damage to everything in that area after it's ablaze is fine. But you should be able to EW wave clear. I think this would help him in the shoehorn him back into mid lane as well.
I agree. So I think that would be good. Make the E just default spread the blaze to small area of effect around it. Doesn't need to be massive, but you should be able to EW the wave. I agree with that. I think the idea of that interacting with his Q is fine. I think... Do you like the 3 stacks and then his blaze explodes, or would you rather it just be a burn?
I actually love the explode aspect of it, to be honest.
I think it's a lot more fun, yeah.
I think so, too. It's fun to play. It's probably more frustrating to play against, but it certainly solidifies his role as I am an AoE team-fighting mage.
Definitely. Do you think anything should change with the ult?
Oh, man. I feel like it's kind of cheap that it prioritizes champions that have already been set ablaze by the ulti.
I think you could make it that it only hits units that are ablaze.
No way.
Yeah.
No, the character would be so bad then.
I think... no, I don't think it would be, especially if the E applied blaze. Like, ER, that's all you gotta do.
But your R, you'd have to increase the... I mean, if we're talking about the current E, it's not hitting everyone in a team fight the same way that the ultimate can. Like, the ultimate has a huge range of bounce.
That's fair. But...
I don't think it can only bounce to ablaze targets.
Maybe that it has a lot less bounces, but if it hits something that's ablaze, it doesn't, like, consume as much.
Doesn't consume a bounce?
Yeah, so, like, it can only bounce 3 times, but if it's ablaze, it doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really cool. Because, like, if you hit a... Oh, dude, it would just bounce and fit... No, there'd have to be... Like, I guess... Would it consume the...
It can only bounce to... Oh.
Because you could just infinitely bounce 13 people, because it couldn't apply a blaze, though, right? Or can only apply a blaze once? I'm not sure.
I think the way that it would have to be is, like, if it... Maybe it bounces up to, like, for example, like, 5 times, or it can extend up to 10 times if it's hitting blazed targets. Like, you just put a flat cap on the number of times it can bounce.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just convoluting it, though. I love the idea. The idea is fucking sick, right? It can bounce, like, a bunch if you keep hitting a blaze target, but it just gets convoluted in its design there, right?
I don't think it's that bad, though. Like, I think that the, like, old Xerath ult wasn't that crazy, where it's just, like, if you hit it, you keep going, kind of. So, I don't know. I think that it having just a flat number of bounces, and then it can hit double that amount of bounces if the targets are ablaze, is pretty simple. So, like, it starts with maybe 3, then 4, then 5, or whatever you choose to put those numbers at. And again, if it, if you hit a blaze target, it doesn't consume one of those bounces. Like, I don't think that's, like, confusing.
No. I don't think it's confusing. I just don't think... I guess his current kit doesn't lend itself to proccing a blaze on a ton of targets for your ulti to bounce. Like,
yeah.
In my opinion. Like, there's no way you're getting an E off on more than 2 people, right? Like in a blaze E.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I do like that idea of, like, rewarding setting multiple targets ablaze.
Mm-hmm.
Could his auto attack apply blaze if they lowered the damage on his passive?
If they lowered the damage on his auto attacks too, right?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, like, his passive would need to do a lot less damage, but if he could auto to set somebody ablaze...
I think that change alone forces Brandon to the jungle. I think he becomes a jungler with that.
He's actually not a bad jungler. You can
stun it. Yeah, he's not a bad jungler already, and you can stun a camp level 1. You have insane AoE level 1. A ton of damage.
Would that be a bad thing?
I don't think so. I like the idea of Brandon.
I like mage junglers.
I do too.
Do we let him apply a stack of blaze with his passive? I'm presenting it to the council of Aiden and Nick.
I think you can only apply 1 to a champion.
I think you can only apply 1 to a champ, and, like, it has to be... Maybe there's a cooldown.
I just feel like he's so well put together right now. Like,
he is.
Even before like I had to step away for a second, like, even the fact that he has 1 target ability, although it's boring, I think having it as a target ability so it sets up, like, your W or your Q is absolutely fine. Like, he just feels like he flows really well.
Yeah. The only thing we suggested was his E should make every target ablaze. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't do the spell damage. It should just apply his passive to everything in the area.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's fair. So,
because then it helps his EQ or EW wave clear in the mid lane. So, like, a ton.
The idea is that if they're not on fire, if they're not already ablaze and you use it, they just get set ablaze, no damage. And if they're ablaze, it just, like, sets everything ablaze, no damage. Is that the idea?
No.
Okay, so do you want to do it or should I?
You can.
Okay, so you know how Zen out, you target 1 unit, it sets them on fire or ablaze, and it deals damage.
Yeah.
That's exactly the same. His empowered E, if he does it on somebody that's ablaze in an area of effect now, it deals the damage and sets everything ablaze. What we're just changing is that if they're not ablaze when you cast E, it still does the area of effect of setting everything in the area on fire. It just only damages the target you hit. That way, if the enemy is standing in the middle of like the minion wave, you can E them and then W the wave, basically.
That's my favorite way to abuse people bottom lane, though. Is so you always try to use W on like them plus minions, right? And then after you miss your W on them, they walk up to the minions, and you just fucking E them, and it bounces them and fucking sets them on fire.
Yeah, it still works that way.
Yeah, but it wouldn't do the damage.
It would empower your ability.
Oh
no. Oh, okay. Literally, the only thing we're changing is that using it.
Oh, in minion waves.
Using it normally without a blaze, right? Without your target being a blaze, applies a blaze to everything.
Oh, so it's just a better version of what it is.
Yes,
I thought you were
it's just
making
a better
worse
version
because you didn't like that it was a point and click. Sorry, that's where I was confused.
Oh no. This is just like a slight little quality of life / kind of maybe a big buff.
It's a pretty big buff.
Yes, but I think it helps. I think it helps push him into the mid lane better.
I think he's way healthier mid than support, by the way.
I think so too, because then you can EW and essentially clear the wave with your W base damage plus the 20% bonus.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think Brand's fucking sick, though. I really do think he's a cool character.
I think so too.
Last but not least, Braum. This one's going to be highly contested because a lot of people love Braum.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Braum, to be honest.
Talking to Kennedy about this a couple days ago. I fucking hate playing Braum. I think he's boring and he's stupid. But everyone loves this fucking character. It's like Jhin. I don't understand why people like Jhin either. Jin's fucking boring as shit, dude.
All right, with that out of the way, Nick.
I don't agree on Jhin.
I don't agree on either.
But, dude, okay, so I don't actually think Jin's like kind of cool, but he's not like the fucking godsend character that Reddit acts like he is. They're like, he's the perfect character. Riot, please just birth more Jins. No, he's not that cool. He's still a fucking boring AD carry.
I think he's a very well-designed character, but I certainly don't think he is as top tier as Reddit seems to think. Did you see that post about like why Jhin is the perfect character?
That's what I mean. Like, dude, I swear to God, if you created a survey for Reddit, it was what are the perfect characters? It would be Jhin number 1. I guarantee you, there's no way it wouldn't be, and then it would be Braum number 2.
Interesting.
When we all know that Teemo is best designed. Okay, so all right, so Braum, here are some pitches that I have to change Braum around a little bit. I think his passive and his Q are fine. I think, if anything, you could... Again, I like the idea of moving more ice champions towards brittle mechanic. So you could maybe make it that... Actually, no, I wouldn't change anything with Q or passive. I think the W I would love to see on a charge system where you can have like up to 2 or 3 charges.
You laughing at him just leaping around?
Well,
I just want to see him use it all at once to just going in.
I think you still need an internal cooldown of like at least a second. But I think the idea of Braum being able to like leap to allies to assist them would be really fun. And the way I would like make that, I think, a lot more valuable is that his E I feel like I want to make his E a toggle, where you just have like your regular form or you have your shield up. And if you have your shield up, it's not going to block everything, but allies behind you are going to take some kind of reduced damage, probably a lot less so. You probably are going to have lowered movement speed, but again, that gets counteracted by, well, if you're jumping to your allies, you can still keep up.
I think if it's a toggle, it becomes it has a cooldown, and I think it has reduced effectiveness over time.
Yeah, I actually really like that.
So you could have it on all the time, but it's only going to block like 10% of the damage.
Yeah, either that or if they made it like Urgot W, where it starts out with a cooldown and then eventually you can just be like, it's up now, I'd be fine with that.
There has to be a cooldown though, otherwise, or you have to remove the blocks the initial projectile for 0 damage.
Yeah, I think that should not be.
Because then you just toggle it on and off.
No, yeah, it should
God.
always just be a flat reduction in my mind.
Okay.
Of like you're behind the shield, good for you.
Increased damage from behind? Question mark?
I'd be okay with it. That being said, ultimate, I don't think his ultimate is great. How do you guys feel about Braum ult?
I feel like it should function more similarly to Sejuani ulti, where he creates this ice fissure and then after a certain amount of time it explodes. Like maybe for, I don't know, an additional slow, or if they've been slowed previously, it's a stun.
Brittle.
It could apply brittle to all knocked up targets.
I think brittle's pog as fuck.
I think it only... You think what?
Brittle's pog as fuck.
I think so too. If you're from Freljord, you're getting brittle, whether you like it or not.
Yep, give brittle to every Freljord champion.
Okay, well, let's not say everyone, because then we get a Nivea. Oh, we already
did a Nivea. We're fine.
Nice.
So yeah,
a Nivea can't have brittle.
I don't know. I like the idea of him being able to just like choose to have shield out, and again, he would be like significantly slower, almost not as bad as like Tom Kench when he eats an enemy, but like your shield is heavy as fuck when you deploy it, and then your mobility is bound to jumping to allies. I also like the idea then of being able to like change the angle of the shield, or like you have to turn it off, wait for the cooldown, turn it back on again to change the angle.
Yeah.
Right? Which again incentivizes you to not just constantly have it up.
All right, hear me out. His ulti roots him in place, but he spins very fast. So you can put the shield up, right? And your team just huddles behind him, and then he just blocks everything from every direction.
Oh.
He becomes a Beyblade, a Braum.
Braum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Aiden, is that it for you? That
I'm
does
down
it?
for Braum, yeah.
What if we just make his ultimate an ice version of Ornn ult?
What if it's just a big Poro? What if Braum was a mounted unit?
What if Braum mounted other characters?
It would just be Yumi, but way better.
I was going to suggest that for Blitzcrank's ulti. You fucking pilot him like a mech. We need a fucking what's that character? Cho'Gall. We need a Cho'Gall character.
Yeah.
That character is the most fun MOBA character I've ever played.
Hear me out. New character. It's called Blitzcrank 2, or Blitzcrank's brother, actually.
Blitzcrank.
So he has his normal kit, right? It's like kind of like a Blitzcrank-esque kit.
Mm-hmm.
But the main cool thing about Blitzcrank is Blitzcrank's brother. Blitzcrank. Is that when he's in the game, every other character on your team gets another ability, the T ability, which just allows them to mount him as a like machine.
Okay.
And they're just you don't get anything extra. You just like are playing your teammate's character.
Confirmed lore. Definitely not Blitzcrank. Has been Blitzcrank the whole time.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Just they remove that skin. That's the character. It's just Blitzcrank, but with the fucking mustache.
Yeah.
In that scenario that we're mounting Blitzcrank, I think it should reverse Yumi someone where they become untargetable. Like, I guess just Yumi them, right?
Yeah, Yumi them.
But they lose the movement.
Yeah,
They can still use every ability because it's busted. Blitzcrank is OP and doesn't follow the human rules that we have to.
Are we done with Braum then?
Yeah.
All right.
Blitzcrank. No, I think
that's the end. Holy shit!
Right? That
was actually an hour. Holy fuck! That one it goes by so quick.
It does go by. How are we ever going to get through F? We're going to have to like double down on some of these letters. Again.
I feel like they're split up the way I did it. Oh, you're making a meme because there's only 3.
F has 3.
Oh,
F has 3. I feel like
F and E.
Granted, one of those characters have a lot to talk about.
That's what I mean. I feel like some weeks will be like half an hour, but like most weeks will be like an hour or so.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
Q though, 2 characters, perfect episode.
Yeah. Anyways, if you enjoy this episode, well, you already know it's up on our Patreon. Assuming that you're listening to it now, it'll probably be posted probably tonight. I guess it doesn't really help you if you're listening to it right now. That being said, it will go live for public members on, I guess, what's next month? January, February, March 14th. Yeah. And we'll probably record our next one sometime in March, and we'll post it sometime then. It'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it.
Thanks for coming to our ZED Talk.
Yeah, thanks for coming to our ZED Talk.
Bye.